Bang, and moving on with the program, we have an interesting title. I'm looking forward to this one. It's called The Death of Web3, The Future of Adoption. Please welcome back with a very rapid turnaround, Filippo Chisari.
All right, here I am again, by myself this time. Am I the only one who's feeling like super warm? It's crazy. It's so hot in here, I'm gonna be sweating. All right, so we have a talk today that is about the death of Web3. I don't know if my timer is on yet, but it's about the future of adoption, and it follows on with the talk that we had before about VC investment. And it comes in between another talk that we're having, which is about brands adopting the Web3 space and enterprise adoption of Web3. I think you know already where this is going. Sorry, I'm just gonna have a quick sip of water. So, what is the point of this talk? What is the purpose of this conversation that we're having? Well, the purpose, this is a generic conference. It's a conference that has those that are initiated in the Web3 space and are getting just acquainted with the idea of Web3, those that are immersed in the Web3 space and are practitioners, professionals in the space, and those that are seasoned, the OGs that have been here for a very long time already. And so I'm gonna try and distill some of the information that we've been receiving and that we've been processing to come up with a thesis on where the future of Web3 is going. And it's not about foretelling what the future is, like the picture describes, but it is about creating those aha moments for all of you. So it's understanding, for you all to have that moment where you say, okay, I get where this is going. I get what Web3 is about. I'll briefly introduce myself. I've also put my business partner here. I'm Filippo. As I already said in the previous talk, managing partner of AgileGTM, which is a Web3 accelerator fund based out of Lisbon. And we invest in enterprise adoption of Web3. How did we get to this? Well, my journey started working in the enterprise world as a go-to-market advisor. And the reason why I put ponies and unicorns is because I've seen small companies at pre-seed stage, and I've worked with unicorns, European unicorns. So I've seen all stages of growth and accelerators such as Microsoft for Startups, and I've recently finished my term as Chief Commercial Officer for Techstars Web3, which is the largest Web3 accelerator fund in the world. So, we fucked up. How did we fuck up? Well, last year, or the previous years, were all about NFTs, the metaverse, Web3. All of these are dead. The metaverse is dead. Why is it dead? Because enterprises are no longer interested in building a presence in the metaverse today, right? Meta has abandoned some of the efforts that they've been doing. They've been firing their teams. It's on a weekly basis that we see major enterprises firing their teams that are taking care of the Web3 efforts within their companies. NFTs, don't even get me started. The blue chips that I thought were never going to fall, fell. For example, Azukis, for example, Doodles, for example, potentially even the apes have been going down. And, we're transitioning from NFTs being a JPEG into being, identity, into being much more than what it originally was supposed to be. And obviously the term Web3 doesn't really encompass what we're trying to achieve here. So the problem here is we have an adoption problem. Everyone's talking about the adoption journey and everyone is advocating mass adoption. Why the hell are you advocating mass adoption? Why the fuck do we care about mass adoption? Everyone's mass adoption, mass adoption. Well, the truth is we're all here for mass adoption because we want to position ourselves ahead of this new wave that is coming. And many of us, and I'm looking at this room and whoever's here, we lost our previous supposedly adoption, mass adoption in Web 2. And so or the ones that have survived it, the consultants that have survived it became marketing consultants or the social media consultants or whatever. But the truth is we're here to position ourselves ahead of it. And we started with purposeful adoption because in the beginning, we still are 1%, of the population that are in crypto wallets or have, are in Web3 at the moment. We're about 90 million if you don't count people that have 2 wallets or 3 wallets. Bottom line is, we have to go from purposeful to mass. And everyone's thinking about mass, but actually what we should be thinking about, sustainable adoption. How do we make it sustainable? So the next phase of adoption is sustainable adoption. How do we get to sustainable adoption? Well, like I said in the previous panel, we're thinking about product market fit the wrong way. Product market fit is this elusive concept in the Web3 space. No Web3 enterprise has achieved product market fit yet. Product market fit means having a series of customers that are paying, coming back, and then eventually it is a reproducible model that can scale. This has not happened yet, okay? So we are now in a phase where we need to understand first, and why has it not happened, first of all? Because we are in, the Web3 space is a very, very, very small part of the audience, our potential audience. What is actually important is the Web 2 audience. And so how do we get to the Web 2 audience? Through audience message fit. What we need to figure out is how to position our Web 3 products to the Web 2 world. And that is where the gap is. And so in a nutshell, and I'm going to stop the negative part of my presentation with this slide, we've been living a lie. Why have we been living a lie, and why did I put the picture of Cinderella if people have not recognized it yet? It's because most people, when they market their Web3 product, they're always saying, well, here's how Web3 can help in 3 different ways. Instead of asking, here's the problem, here's how we can solve it. By the way, Web3 is the best tool to solve it. So what we've been doing is been trying to fit our own narrative. And I've listed here what a good problem looks like. Many of the Web3 solutions out there today don't solve a problem that is common, that is growing, that is urgent, that is costly, that is mandatory, and that is frequent. Because if we did, then we would be at product market fit today. Now let's look at the positive side. Why is the world adopting Web3 in the first place, and where is adoption going? This is the annual expenditure by generation. So you see, the younger generations, Gen Z, the millennials, and so on and so forth. And what you see is that actually the purchasing power is shifting, right? So the digital natives, who are basically millennials, millennials arguably started the digital native side, but it's millennials, it's obviously Gen Z, who are born in immersive experiences and native to the internet, and of course Generation Alpha, which are coming after that, are not actually here, but they are basically the 13-year-old kids now. And they are all moving into, they will, in a couple of years, will have the purchasing power that is much larger than all the others out here, further down. And therefore, they will be the ones who will dictate where products will present their offering, right? And it will be digitally. And therefore, being in immersive experiences, for example, is a perfect market, to be leveraged for them. Let me give you an example. The retail industry. The retail industry is, today if you look at the retail industry, it is advertising in an old school way, and it could be doing so much more if it were to advertise in immersive experiences. And that is something that is going to happen, right? We know that. That's why brands are now adopting the Web3 space, and that's why they've been adopting the Web3 space in the last year, because they recognize the trend, and they recognize that if they don't adopt Web3 in 10 years, they will not be there anymore. So last year, 21 and 22 was all about brands adopting brands adopting Web3 for customer-facing activities, for the front end. And this year and next year will be all about the back end, which is everything that's on the operational side, ROI-driven results. So brands and the enterprise world is no longer going to just focus on customer-facing activities and creating the next level of customer engagement and brand loyalty, but rather actual ROI-driven efforts. And so we've created this model, which is part of our investment thesis, by the way. Here are the 3 layers at which brands operate. It's immersiveness, tokenization, and decentralization. At each of these, there are intuitive use cases that can be given. But in a nutshell, decentralization is anything that has to do with a creator economy and, co-creative communities in a way. Tokenization is everything that has to do with, coins and tokens and fractionalization of digital assets, digital ownership, and the ownable internet. And immersiveness is the utility layer. And that's where most businesses provide utility in the digital space, and that's, arguably the top of the funnel as well in some. And so here's what we've noticed, and that's where the trends are. The trends are, so in both the enterprise side and both the investment side, there are 7 leading industries. These 7 leading industries are the ones that are leading the Web3 space today. And that's where the future of adoption will be, and that's where the future of adoption is coming from. On one side, you have the investment, which is, for example, the deals that we are sourcing that are coming from from the 7 industries. On the other side, you have the enterprises which have been joining the Web3 space. And I'm talking about, the top 300 companies in the last 2 years that have joined the Web3 space. And these 7 industries, which I've called the Magnificent 7, are luxury, fashion, retail, food and beverage, sports, music and entertainment, and automotive. These are the top 7 industries. If you look at early stage deal flow, and all the startups that are being built in the space are arguably targeting these industries. Same thing is happening with brands and enterprises. Enterprises that are coming from these industries are the ones that are leading Web3 adoption today and are leading this sustainable adoption that we're talking about. And so, what is happening behind the scenes? Well, I don't know if you've heard, but the world seems to think that Web3 is dead or dying out, and actually, that is not true at all. In the news, we see BlackRock, we see JP Morgan, HSBC, and Deutsche Bank. Each and every one of them have, for example, just a couple of weeks ago, announced that they're going to start offering services that are Web3 related. BlackRock, I'm sure you've heard, have just filed for Bitcoin. JP Morgan launched their JP Morgan coin. HSBC have been offering Bitcoin part of their bank. Deutsche Bank just filed as well. So what we're seeing here is that behind the scenes, the world is moving towards enterprise and Web3 adoption. And this institutionalization is going to push forward our efforts for the next decade. Let's look at Mika a little bit and how it's going to change adoption in the next couple of years as well. So this is a map of crypto assets and how, whether they are banned or not. So the red areas are the ones that are banned, basically, where, crypto is not allowed. Orange are the ones that are kind of thinking about figuring out regulation. Transparent are the ones that are going to soon go into it. And obviously, the green ones are the ones that are allowing crypto. And you see Europe and obviously Mika, and that is going to be regulation that is going to level out the playing field across Europe. And that's starting in June next year, less than a year. It's going to start coming into effect with its full implementation happening in December next year. So all of Europe will be an equal playing field for the Web3 space. I'm just over time, so I'm going to say it quickly. So how do we get to that adoption that I was talking about before? The way to get to that adoption is through intuitive use cases. So intuitive today means sustainable tomorrow. We're getting to sustainable adoption. It needs to be intuitive. How do I make this intuitive? Through 3 pillars of adoption, which are UX, UI, safety, and education. UX, UI, how many startups today have an intuitive UX, UI in the Web3 space? Not that many. Next year, Apple is also going to launch their headset, the AR, VR headset. And obviously, it's going to, they arguably have done a good job into allowing people to phase into the Web3 space or AR, VR. But I think that the Web3 space can learn so much from other more viral tools, for example, ChatGPT, for example, Threads, that have managed to get so many users in such a short period of time, because the UX UI was intuitive. So we need to figure out, we have a UX UI problem, we need to figure out the UX UI problem. Second thing is safety. Our space is not safe. Many people don't feel safe investing in the Web3 space. And that's the second pillar of adoption that we need to figure out. And the last one is, of course, education. Now, everyone's focusing on this last one, education, education, education. Yes, market education is very important, but the truth is UX UI is way more important than education, because something that has an intuitive UX UI will be adopted regardless of how you educate the market or not. So with these words, I hope I left you with a bit of food for thought on where sustainable adoption is going to come from the enterprise world, from the institutional world, based on UX UI, safety, and education. Thank you very much. Love for you to connect with me on LinkedIn, and thank you.